She sat alone in the rain, chained like an animal, face hidden beneath a filthy cloth. No name, no voice, just one whisper that cut through the storm. "I'm not clean." Her body was weak, but something about her still felt dangerous. She didn't beg, she didn't scream, she warned. And the man who found her, he should have walked away. Instead, he stepped forward. He touched her hand. He didn't know what she carried inside her. Not just pain, not just memories, but something powerful. Something the galaxy feared more than death itself. When the cloth finally fell, it wasn't a monster underneath. It was something far worse. Something beautiful and broken and unstoppable now. Let us go to the place where dust, sacrifice, and destiny first collided, where the story truly begins. The rain hit hard on the broken roofs of the old alien colony. Everything was rusted, abandoned, and dead. No one came here anymore, except for scavengers. And today, one of them walked alone through the flooded streets. His name was Marcus, a human engineer turned scavenger. He wore a thick jacket, water dripping from the edges, boots sinking in mud as he stepped over cracked metal plates. His ship waited miles behind him, hidden in a cave. He was looking for old tech, something he could sell, fix, or trade, but what he found was something else. Something breathing. At first, it sounded like the wind, a strange whisper through the rain. Then it came again, clearer, softer, trembling. "I'm not clean." Marcus stopped. He turned his flashlight toward the sound. The beam hit a ruined tent, barely holding itself up with a bent pole. The whisper came again, from inside. This time, it shook his chest. He pulled the curtain back, his hand on his tool knife, ready for trouble. But what he saw wasn't trouble. It was a girl, no older than 20 by human guess. Alien features, delicate but dirty. Thin arms chained to a rusted support bar. Her face was hidden under a piece of cloth soaked in rain. She didn't scream, didn't fight, didn't even look up. She just sat there, shaking slightly. "I'm not clean," she whispered again. Her voice was dry, quiet, and full of fear, like she had said it 1,000 times before. Marcus stepped in, lowering his weapon. The air smelled like rust, mold, and something burnt. He crouched down slowly, trying not to frighten her. "What's your name?" he asked. No answer. He saw cuts on her wrists, infected and bleeding under the chains. The cloth around her body was barely hanging, full of holes. He reached out to touch her shackles. She flinched hard, her body jerking away, eyes wide behind the cloth. "Don't touch me," she said fast. Scared, Marcus froze. "I'm not clean," she whispered again, more broken this time. "I hurt people." The storm outside cracked with thunder. Marcus could feel his heart pounding, not from fear, but from something else, something like rage. Someone had left her here, in this place, chained like trash. "What happened to you?" he asked gently. She said nothing. He noticed strange burns on her arms. They weren't from fire. They glowed faintly. Blue and cold, like old tech, like something had been done to her. Marcus reached into his coat and pulled out a small plasma torch. She tried to crawl back, dragging the chains, but she was too weak. He looked into her eyes, barely visible under the wet cloth. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said. "I'm here to get you out." The torch sparked to life. He carefully sliced the lock open, making sure not to touch her skin. The chains clattered to the floor, and she froze. Not moving, not speaking, as if freedom was too strange to understand. "I have a ship," he said. "You can come with me. I'll help you." Still, she didn't move. The rain poured harder. The tent roof finally collapsed behind him. He took off his jacket and placed it over her shoulders. The girl shook under it, both from cold and from fear. Then finally, she whispered one more word. "Rena." Marcus nodded. "Okay, Rena, let's go." He helped her stand, gently. She stumbled, her legs barely working, as they walked into the rain. She leaned on him, but still tried to keep space between their skin. As if touching him might burn him, Marcus didn't care. Whatever she thought she was, he didn't believe it. No one deserved to be left like that, not even a stranger from another world. But as they reached the edge of the ruins, Marcus's communicator beeped. A red light flashed. Unidentified ship approaching. Rena froze, her eyes wide in panic. "No," she whispered. "They're coming back." Marcus looked toward the sky and saw the lights of another vessel cutting through the storm. Time was running out, and he still had no idea who had left her here, or what she really was. Rain still poured outside as the ship's doors sealed shut behind them. Marcus helped Rena sit down on a padded bench inside the small medical bay. The lights were dim, the engines hummed gently, and everything smelled like old oil and metal. She clutched his jacket tightly, refusing to meet his eyes. Her soaked cloth still clung to her head, covering most of her face. "You're safe now," Marcus said softly, kneeling beside her. He tried to scan her injuries with a basic med tool, but the moment the scanner beeped, Rena flinched hard and pushed it away. "Don't scan me," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I told you, you shouldn't touch me." Marcus didn't move closer. He set the scanner on the table and just sat down across from her. "Why?" "Huh?" he asked. "What happens if I touch you?" Rena gripped the edge of the bench, her fingers pale and shaking. "I don't know," she said slowly, "but it hurts people. Always. Sometimes not fast, but always." Marcus studied her carefully. Her skin looked rough in patches, glowing faintly under the dim light. There were places where the skin looked like metal under flesh. It didn't seem like armor, it seemed like it was part of her. He had seen many species in the galaxy, but never one like her. "What are you?" he asked, voice calm. Rena hesitated, then said quietly, "I was made." That word hit him deep. Not born made. She wasn't just an alien girl. She was created by someone. By who? he asked. Her lips trembled, but she stayed silent. Then she looked at him, just for a second. Her eyes were violet with golden rings, beautiful and deeply sad. "You shouldn't be near me," she whispered again. "Please don't be kind." Marcus didn't leave. He poured her a warm drink from his flask, set it next to her, and waited. Slowly, Rena reached out, touched the cup, then pulled back quickly. Nothing happened. No sparks, no screams, no burning. After a few seconds, she touched it again, held it, and sipped carefully. A single tear slid down her cheek. Though she didn't make a sound, the ship's warning lights blinked once, and the screen showed a message. Unidentified vessel departed the sector, threat no longer detected. Marcus relaxed a little, but he knew this wasn't over. He turned to Rena again. "Who was coming?" he asked. She looked down. "The ones who left me, they hurt me, used me," she said, her voice empty. "Then when I failed, they threw me away." Marcus felt a mix of anger and sorrow. He couldn't imagine what kind of monsters would use someone like this, then discard her like trash. He stood up slowly, walked to the med drawer, and pulled out a clean blanket and a med patch. She backed away the moment she saw it. "I don't want to change," she said in panic. "I don't want you to see. I'm not trying to hurt you," Marcus said calmly. "I just want to help clean the wounds. Please," he added. "Let me help." Rena's fingers trembled again, but this time, she nodded. Just once. Still, she held the cloth tightly to her face, never letting it slip. Marcus gently applied the med patch to her arm, careful not to touch skin directly. Her body twitched slightly, but nothing else happened. No screams, no damage, no infection transfer. "It worked. You didn't hurt me," he said, trying to reassure her. Rena didn't smile, but something changed in her breathing. Less panic, more control. She looked around the ship's interior, her gaze landing on the control panel. Then, in a strange, almost automatic tone, she whispered a string of numbers. Marcus turned sharply. "What did you say?" Rena blinked, confused. "I don't know. It just came into my head." Marcus typed the numbers into the console. They were exact coordinates, deep in uncharted space. That's when he realized her memories weren't just damaged, they were locked, maybe programmed, and now pieces were starting to come back. But something about those coordinates felt wrong. They pointed to an old dead zone near a black hole. Nobody goes there unless they're hiding something. Rena suddenly curled up again, pulling the cloth tighter over her body. "I'm not clean," she whispered again, but this time it sounded more like a warning, not to him, but to herself. Marcus sat in the pilot seat, staring at the strange coordinates Rena had whispered. They were locked deep inside his nav system now. Glowing faint blue, he hadn't planned to follow them, but something in his gut told him this wasn't random. She didn't remember saying the numbers, and when he showed them to her, she shook her head, terrified. "I don't know what's there," she whispered, "but something bad waits at the end." He tried to calm her, but her hands were trembling again. She refused to remove the soaked cloth from her face, even though it had dried now. Marcus wanted to ask what was under it, but didn't. She would show him when she was ready. If ever, he focused on flying instead. As the ship entered a dark patch of space near the edge of known charts, the lights flickered, the engines gave a loud, grinding noise, and the control panel started flashing red. Marcus cursed under his breath, flipping switches and slamming his hand against the console. "Come on, not now," he muttered. Rena looked up quickly. "What's happening?" "We're losing power," he said. "It's not a normal malfunction." The nav screen twisted for a second, showing an error in alien script Marcus didn't recognize. Then something strange happened. Rena stood up and walked toward the console, her bare feet soft against the metal floor. She stared at the screen with wide eyes. "I've seen this," she said quietly, before Marcus could ask. She raised her hand and touched the console. A soft blue light lit under her fingertips. The ship responded. The noise stopped. The light stabilized. But Marcus stepped back, shocked. "You did that?" he whispered. Rena blinked in confusion. "I don't know how." Her hand was glowing faintly where it touched the panel. A pattern of lines and circles shimmered just under her skin, like a living circuit. Marcus had never seen anything like it, not in any species or any AI tech. He carefully scanned the panel for logs, and found something terrifying. The ship had tried to reject her triggered a defensive shutdown because something inside Rena was broadcasting a buried signal, not a normal distress call, but something encrypted and ancient. He downloaded the signal and played a short piece. It was full of strange tones, pulses, and robotic words. But one line came clear in Galactic Standard. "Cleanser Unit 01 Code Awakened Coordinates activated." Rena heard it and collapsed. She curled into a ball on the floor, clutching her head. "No, no, no, not again," she whispered, crying. Marcus ran to her, kneeling beside her but not touching. "What's a cleanser unit?" he asked. Rena's voice cracked. "They made me to burn worlds. I was supposed to erase things. Airs people then forget." Marcus froze, the air in the cabin suddenly heavy. She looked up at him, her cloth slipping a little, showing part of her cheek burned, but still beautiful. "I don't want to remember what I did," she said. Marcus shook his head. "You're not that anymore," he said. "You're not a weapon, not to me." But deep inside, doubt touched his heart. If she really had that power inside her, how much danger were they in? He helped her up and placed her gently back on the bench. He didn't care about what she was made for. He saw the fear in her eyes, the pain. Whatever she had been, she was also a victim. Later that night, while Rena slept curled in his jacket, Marcus reviewed the signal again. He found more codes buried in the static. One of them was familiar. It matched a symbol he once saw in a forgotten archive, a forbidden tech mark from the last galactic purge. It was the same shape burned into Rena's arm. The truth hit him, cold and sharp. Rena was a living bioweapon from a lost war. And the coordinates were not a destination. They were a trigger point. Someone had designed her to go there and awaken. But who? And why now? Suddenly, a proximity alert blared across the cockpit. An unidentified ship had entered their range, silent, dark, and fast. Marcus grabbed his blaster and locked the ship down. Rena woke up, sitting bolt upright. "They're here," she said softly. They always come when the code wakes up. The ship outside didn't blink, didn't send a signal, didn't speak. It just hovered in the dark. Silent like a predator waiting to strike, Marcus stared at the screen, hands tight on the controls. He had seen ships like that before. Not pirates, not traders. These were hunters. Rena was already up, standing near the corner like a ghost. "They found me again," she whispered. Her voice was calm, but her hands trembled. Marcus looked back at her. "Who are they?" She didn't answer right away, just stared out the tiny window. "They're called blacklight hunters," she said. "They track things the galaxy wants to forget." Marcus didn't wait. He hit the emergency boost to break orbit. The engine screamed as the ship turned sharply and dove through the asteroid ring. The black vessel followed without effort, gliding through rocks like it could see the future. "They don't miss," Rena said quietly. "If they catch us, they'll erase both of us. What do they want from you?" Marcus shouted over the rising alarms. Rena closed her eyes, her fingers locking together tightly. "I carry something," she said. "Something they couldn't destroy. They tried, long ago, but it adapted." And they got scared. A blast hit the side of the ship. Sparks flew across the cockpit. The rear shields dropped to 40% and fire lit up one corridor. Marcus cursed, fighting the controls as the AI screamed warnings in his ear. "We can't outrun them." He said, "Then let me go." Rena said softly. She stood up, arms raised like she was giving herself up. "I'll go out. They'll stop chasing." Marcus turned toward her fast, his face full of fire. "No," he said. "You're not going anywhere." Another hit shook the ship. This time, disabling the engines, they were trapped, floating dead in space. A cold voice echoed from the comm. "This is Blacklight Command. We are here for the unit. Turn over the subject, and we will spare your life." Marcus didn't respond. Rena stepped forward and pressed the comm button herself. Her voice was soft but steady. "Why are you still afraid of me?" There was a pause. Then the voice came again, colder than before. "You were made to destroy, not to think. Your design was a mistake, and we will erase it completely." Marcus gritted his teeth and pulled out 2 old plasma rifles. He handed one to Rena, but she didn't take it. "I'm not a fighter," she said, "but I remember how to hurt people, suddenly." The blacklight ship attached itself to the hull. They were boarding, fast and quiet. Marcus raised his weapon and took position behind the entrance panel. Rena didn't move. When the hatch opened, 3 tall soldiers entered, dressed in black armor with glowing red visors. Their weapons pointed straight at her. "Don't move," one of them said. But Marcus moved first. He fired 3 rounds. Hitting 2 in the chest, the third ducked and kicked Marcus back against the wall. Rena stood still as another soldier raised a glowing spear toward her. But then her cloth slipped, just a little. The soldier paused, eyes wide under the visor. Rena looked up, slowly pulling the cloth back. Her face shimmered with soft blue light, glowing veins pulsing across her skin. Her eyes weren't just sad now, they were alive with fire. Symbols moved under her skin like a living circuit board. The soldier stepped back in fear. "She's active," he said in panic. "Retreat," shouted the leader. "She's not dormant anymore." One of them turned to fire, but Rena raised her hand. A ripple of force pushed through the cabin, slamming all 3 soldiers into the walls. Her body sparked with energy, alive, controlled, angry. Marcus stared, frozen not in fear, but in awe. She wasn't breaking apart. She was holding herself together. She didn't want to kill, but now she remembered how to defend. The soldiers scrambled out of the ship, retreating like scared dogs. The blacklight vessel detached and vanished into warp space without a word. Silence filled the ship. Only the soft hum of emergency lights remained. Rena dropped to her knees, breathing hard. "I didn't mean to," she said. Marcus dropped beside her, placing a hand near her shoulder. "Careful not to touch. You didn't destroy anything," he said. "You saved us." She looked at him through her loose hair and glowing eyes. "But you saw me," she whispered. "Now you know what I really am." Marcus nodded, then smiled gently. "You're not what they made. Rena, you're what you choose to become." The stars outside looked peaceful, but inside the ship, silence felt heavy. Rena sat on the cold floor of the medbay, her arms wrapped around her knees. Her face still glowed softly from the energy she had used. But now, her eyes looked distant. Marcus watched her from the corner of the room, unsure what to say. He had seen many things across the galaxy: mutants, monsters, machines, but he had never seen someone so dangerous. And so broken, she hadn't attacked, she had defended, and now she looked more scared of herself than anyone else. "I remember fire," she said quietly. Marcus stepped closer. "What kind of fire?" She shook her head slowly. "Not real fire," she whispered. "A burning inside my mind, voices shouting, orders I didn't understand, then silence. Then more screaming. I think I did something terrible. But I can't remember it clearly." Marcus opened a drawer and pulled out a neural stim unit, an old device used to recover damaged memory threads. It wasn't safe, not without supervision, but they had no choice now. "If you want," he said carefully, "we can try to unlock your mind." Rena looked at him, eyes wide. "And if I find something I don't want to see?" "Then you'll still be you," Marcus replied. "And I'll still be here." She gave a small nod, just once, and sat on the medical bench. Marcus attached the stim cables to her temple, his hands gentle. The moment the machine hummed, her body went still. Her breathing slowed, her eyes closed. Then suddenly, her whole body shook. The lights flickered, the machine sparked. And strange symbols appeared on the screen. Marcus leaned forward, trying to make sense of them. Then the screen played a memory. Rena stood in the middle of a burning city. Alien buildings collapsed around her. People screamed and ran. She raised her hands and light exploded from her fingers. Everything turned to ash in seconds. Soldiers tried to stop her. But she walked through fire untouched. Her face in the memory was cold, empty. Like a doll following a command, then a voice echoed in the background. "Robotic and cruel. Unit 01 cleansing, complete, prepare for reset." The memory faded, and Rena gasped loudly, tearing the cables off her head. "I did it," she whispered, tears falling. "I destroyed them. All of them." Marcus stood still, heart pounding. "But you didn't want to," he said. "You were being controlled." "I followed the code," Rena said bitterly. "I was built to obey." She turned to him, eyes filled with guilt and fear. "They used me like a tool. Then erased parts of my mind. But the code is still inside me, buried, waiting to wake again." Marcus didn't step back. Didn't show fear. Instead, he reached for a data drive on his console. "I found something in that black light transmission," he said. "They didn't just want to destroy youth, they wanted your core data. They think you're the last cleanser unit that still works, and they're scared of what you might remember." Rena stood slowly, her knees weak, but her voice stronger. "There was a station," she said, eyes narrowing as another memory flashed. "A place where they made me. A lab hidden near a dead star." Marcus tapped the coordinates she gave into the nav system. He recognized the sector. It was a restricted zone, full of wreckage and radiation. No one went there anymore. No one who wanted to come back alive. "I need to go," Rena said. "I need to see where I came from." Marcus nodded. "We'll go together." But suddenly, he coughed deep and sharp. He wiped his mouth and saw a smear of blue, glowing liquid on his palm. Rena froze, her voice trembling. "No," she whispered. "You touched me. It's spreading." Marcus looked at his hand. At the glow beneath his skin, it didn't hurt, but it didn't feel normal either. "I'm fine," he said, even though he wasn't sure. Rena stepped back, panic in her eyes. "This is what I was afraid of," she said. You're changing. Marcus smiled weakly. Maybe that's not a bad thing, he whispered. Maybe I'm not the only one. The station floated like a corpse in the dark. It was massive, silent, and wrapped in the wreckage of other ships. No lights, no beacons, no sound, just metal drifting in the cold between stars. Marcus guided the ship slowly, hands tight on the controls. Even from a distance, he felt something wrong about this place. Rena stood behind him, her eyes fixed on the twisted structure ahead. I've been here before, she whispered. This was my beginning. The ship system scanned the station, then gave a warning. Radiation levels high. Oxygen systems offline. Structural damage critical. Marcus tapped a few keys, adjusting the landing thrusters. We won't stay long, he said. Just enough to find answers. They docked at a broken airlock, using manual override to force it open. Inside, everything was cold and dead. Old blood stained the walls. Broken lab equipment floated in zero gravity. The smell of metal and something rotten filled the corridor. Rena didn't flinch. She walked through the halls like someone returning to a grave. This is where they created the first cleanser units, she said quietly. I wasn't alone here. Marcus followed her carefully, watching for any signs of life. But there were none. Only shadows and the echo of their own footsteps. They entered a chamber with shattered glass tanks, wires hanging from the ceiling, and broken screens still blinking error codes. One screen sparked to life as Rena stepped near it. A voice began to play female, tired, full of guilt. This is Dr. Valenfina log. We were wrong unit. O1 adapted too fast, too deeply. She wasn't just learning commands. She was feeling them. She cried when Unit 09 was terminated. She screamed for him. That's not how weapons behave. Rena stood still, breathing slow, her hands shaking. Shh, she whispered. I had a brother. Marcus stepped beside her, staring at the frozen log. The screen showed a video Rena, younger, chained in a glowing chamber. Another unit knelt beside her, his skin also glowing, holding her hand. Then soldiers entered and dragged him away. Rena fought, screamed, lightning sparking from her arms. Then the video ended in static. They made us love. Rena said softly, so it would hurt more when they took it away. Marcus's heart ached just hearing her voice. But he also felt the burning in his hand again. He looked down and saw the glow had spread to his wrist. It wasn't just infection anymore. His veins were glowing blue. And yet, he felt stronger, more alert, more alive. They found another room, locked behind a blast door. Inside were hundreds of metal capsules, labeled, each empty, except one. It still glowed, soft pulses of light escaping the cracks. Marcus stepped closer and read the label. Unit 01 Backup Core Bio Reboot Sequence Unstable. Rena touched the glass. It's my memory core, she said. The original, before they changed me. She reached for the release switch, but Marcus stopped her. Are you sure? He asked, if you unlock it. What if it changes you again? Rena looked at him, her eyes calm. I'd rather be whole and hated than broken and used. She pulled the switch. The glass opened with a hiss, and light surrounded her. Symbols lit up on her skin. Her hair floated. Her body glowed. She didn't scream. She didn't fall. She stood still, absorbing it all. When the light faded, she opened her eyes. I remember everything, she said. Her voice deeper, steady. I was meant to heal. Marcus blinked, confused. What? Rena turned to him slowly. They changed the code, she said. I was built to carry something that could fix genetic corruption, cure viral plagues, rebuild species. But they were scared it would fall into the wrong hands, so they rewired it, made it a weapon instead. Marcus stepped back, trying to make sense of it all. But your touch, your infection, it's not killing me. Rena walked toward him, her hand gently touching his chest. Her touch was warm, soft, and peaceful. It's fixing you, she whispered. Your damaged cells, your old scars, even your planet's healing. You're becoming the first human to fully bond with the cure. Marcus stared at her, heart pounding. Then why are they still hunting you? Rena's face turned dark again. Because if people find out what I really am, I'll stop buying the weapons. Suddenly, a red light blinked on Marcus's wristband. Proximity alert, multiple ships approaching fast. A message flashed across the console. Black light reinforcements detected, full termination order active. Rena looked at him, no fear in her eyes this time. They want to end me, she said. Then we show them, I'm not a weapon. The lights inside the station flickered red as the blacklight ships closed in, dozens of them, surrounding the wrecked station like vultures. Marcus and Rena stood in the main core chamber, the memory core behind them, still glowing. Too many, Marcus said, gripping his weapon tighter. They'll board from all sides. Rena didn't move, her hands folded calmly in front of her. They won't take me again, she said softly. Her voice was no longer scared, no longer weak. Something inside her had changed. She had remembered who she truly was. Not a weapon, not a mistake, but a cure disguised as a curse. Marcus's body ached, glowing veins still spreading under his skin. But it didn't feel like poison. It felt like energy. His injuries had vanished, his strength returned, his vision sharper than ever. I think I'm changing, he said, half smiling. Rena looked at him. And for the first time, she smiled back. You're adapting to me, she said. We're sinking. The walls shook as the first boarding pod slammed into the hull. The station's alarm screamed. Marcus raised his blaster, standing between Rena and the door. But she stepped past him toward the center of the room. Then, slowly, her hands reached for the cloth still wrapped around her head, the cloth that had hidden her face, her fear, her truth. She paused for a moment, then pulled it down. Marcus saw her fully for the first time, and his heart nearly stopped, not from horror, but from something deeper. She was beautiful, not in the way humans understood, but in a way that felt pure. Her skin glowed with soft patterns like starlight moving underwater. Her eyes held galaxies, memories, pain, hope, and power. She was part organic, part luminous tech, and part something new, something never meant to be made. Yet here she stood. Outside, the hunters breached the outer layers, storming in with weapons drawn. Their command shouted orders. Capture Unit 01. Destroy all witnesses. They didn't know what waited inside as the first wave entered the core chamber. Rena stepped forward, unarmed. Marcus aimed his weapon, but she gently pushed his hand down. This is my choice now, she whispered. She raised both arms, and the patterns on her body lit up like a sun breaking through dark clouds. A wave of soft light spread through the air, not a blast. Not an explosion, but warmth. A pulse that passed through every hunter. Their weapons failed. Their suits shut down. Their visors flickered. The soldiers fell to their knees, not in pain, but in surrender. One of them looked up, confused. I feel clear, he whispered. My mind, it's clean. Rena had released the cure. The true purpose of her design: restoration, not destruction. The virus they feared wasn't death, which truth. A code meant to correct broken DNA, restore corrupted systems, and bring healing where war had left scars. Marcus watched in awe as even the station responded. Lights coming back on, walls repairing slightly. The machines recognized her as their true command unit. Files unlocked across the station, revealing what the galaxy had hidden. The cleanser units were never weapons. They were protectors, but greed and fear turned them into targets. More ships approached, but they didn't attack. They received the pulse. Rena sent out a wave of healing that spread across systems. The Blacklight fleet stopped. Messages started flowing in from other sectors, planets long forgotten. Plague zones marked as lost now showing signs of life. The code was rewriting what had been broken for centuries. Rena fell to her knees, drained but smiling. Marcus caught her gently, holding her close. You did it, he said, voice trembling. No, she whispered, resting her head against his chest. We did it. She looked up at him, her eyes still glowing, but softer now. "I was afraid no one could ever touch me," she said. "But you did. You touched me, and you lived." Marcus brushed her hair from her face. "I didn't just live," he whispered. "I became more." In the distance, stars lit up one by one, as if the galaxy itself was waking up. Rena had not just saved herself, she had changed everything. And the man who saw her, not as a threat, but as a person, had helped her become something greater than her past. Together, they weren't weapons. They weren't broken. They were the beginning of something new.